Welcome to Up Level, Real Health, Real Talk with Dr. Jenna Blasi. I'm Dr. Jenna. I spent years crafting ways to help women thrive, and I want to help you do the same. On this podcast, we dive deep into health at every level, focusing on the mind, the body, and the spirit. This is where real conversations meet transformational wellness. We'll be talking about all the things that truly matter, from nutrition and fitness to lifestyle, mindset, and personal development. Plus, the real deal on managing stress and navigating menopause. So if you're ready to elevate your health journey with authentic, transformative insights, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to Up Level. I'm Dr. Jenna, and I want to tie in this week's episode with last time. Last week, we dove deep into how your hormones respond to changes in sleep, stress, late summer rhythms, and how small shifts can really create big wins for your energy, for your metabolism. This week, we're going to zoom out. We're going to zoom out because August can be a weird, like the end of August can be a weird transition time, right? So think of this as your in-between season checkpoint. A month or so ago, I almost did a midpoint of the year checkpoint, and I was going to check in with, okay, we're halfway through the year. Where are you with where you want to be, how you want to feel, your goals? It didn't feel right at the time, so I didn't do it. So now we're going to do an in-between season checkpoint. What has been working for you this summer? Really, the better questions we ask ourselves, the better answers that we'll get. So what has been working well with you for summer? Maybe journal that out. Take a moment to really look at that. And then on the flip side of that, what needs refining before fall? I love ending a year strong. Most of us love starting the year strong, and that can fizzle out too soon for many. Most of us like to end the year strong, and then there's this weird in between summer and schedule changes, which is why I've done a lot of episodes on like how do we kind of keep the momentum and utilize and harness the power of summer. Well, now summer's coming to an end. We're coming to the end of August, and we can look at what's working and what needs refining before fall. And a big question that I really want you to put some thought into is, what do you need to let go of? And how do you let go, right? How do you let go of what's not serving you without feeling like you've given up? So many of us are afraid of sacrifice. We have program members that some of them are so focused on, as we take them through a process of resetting the gut, or for those of you who've done shift where we do some elimination, what I can't have, what I can't do, etc. versus, well, look at all the things I can have. Look at all the things I can do. It's a really great focus for mindset to be focused on what we can have. And so I'm going to come back to that in just a moment, but I heard this great quote, and it was from Bob Proctor, but it's not originally his, and I don't remember. I think it was like Leland von something. Anyway, he said, sacrifice does not mean giving up something. Now, probably, if we look in the dictionary, which I didn't do before this episode, sacrifice might say giving something up. But he said sacrifice is not giving up something. It is letting go of something of a lower nature for something of a higher nature. I love that. When the baby is so attached to their blanket, we don't just take the blanket away and then they're like, It's a natural progression of growth. There's something. As they grow, they're reaching towards the next phase of life, and the blanket can slip away. So when we look at, and in fact, I'm with my members, I just did a class on how important what we say is, how important the verbiage we use is. If you're in the habit of saying, I can't afford that, I can't do that, et cetera, we're just attracting more of that into our lives. Really encourage you to change the verbiage around that, because if you tell the universe, I can't afford that, the universe will keep you in a place where you just can't afford things. So we can say, I don't choose to do this right now, or yet, I'm not going to do this yet. Or, I also took expensive out of my verbiage because that's also very relative. And so just coming from that abundance mindset, and this is true for our health, not just financial. How do you let go of what's not serving you? So part of being able to do that without feeling like you've given something up is to change your thoughts around it. We talked about attitude at the end of last week. Change your thoughts around, well, if you focus on what you're giving up versus what you're gaining. And we can always measure what we'll lose, quote unquote lose. We can always measure what we'll lose, but we often can't see what we'll gain. We can always measure what something quote unquote costs, but we can't measure where that next thing will take us. Going into naturopathic medical school, I can look and go, it costs this, it's going to be this much time, I'm going to have this much in student debt when I come out. But the world that it has opened up to me and all the things I've been able to do and learn and how I've been able to serve since then, I had a little bit of an idea, but it's beyond what I was able to imagine. And so what we focus on grows. So if you say what I can't, right? Henry Ford, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And so when we look at what can I let go of, it's hard. Growth is scary. That the growth is not comfortable, and transformations don't happen in our comfort zone. So ask yourself, what can I let go of that's really going to get me to that next level, that's going to help move me towards my goal, move me in the direction of how I want to live, how I want to feel in my body, in my life, in my relationships, etc. So as we come to sort of end of August, if you felt your momentum dip, hopefully this episode will help you reset, realign, and carry the best of your summer forward. The best, because I hope you've gotten a lot out of what we've talked about this summer. Because as I said, August can feel like a weird in between. The high of summer is fading, fall isn't quite here. So you might feel a dip in your momentum. You might feel a charge in your momentum, like, okay, the kids are back in school, I'm going to get back in my routine. It can go either way. And this is the sort of illusion of constant motivation. We expect ourselves to like be in this high all the time. And that's not really realistic. We can keep resetting our attitude. We can keep realigning, but the normal ebbs and flows, they're normal. I remember I was in a relationship in high school that was, quote unquote serious at the time. And I think we were having a hard time. And my mom said, well, all relationships ebb and flow. And I remember I didn't like that. I was like, I don't want it to ebb. I just want the flow. We all just want the flow. When we surrender, when we let go, we'll be in the flow even when we're ebbing. So that's just a little cheat code to that. Again, that attitude of just like, okay, things are not where I thought they'd be, but I'm going to keep focusing on how I want to feel, where I want to go, etc. So don't always expect the motivation to be there. The most successful people push through regardless of what their motivation is doing. And when I say push through, I don't mean grind harder. I mean, you do the things that are in alignment with where you want to be and how you want to feel. If we say, oh, I really want to be healthy and fit and get rid of this belly, but every time we don't feel like exercising, we don't exercise. And every time we feel like having cake, we have cake. That's not in alignment, right? We're not going to get there. So then there's the body changes, the physiological pieces that we talked about last time, the metabolic shifts, hormones, weather, back to school changes. This can be a real physiological pullback. So again, it's normal to ebb and flow. So I want you to reflect, and you can get out a journal during this. You can listen to it afterwards on repeat, or get your journal after, if you're driving. I invite you to pause and ask yourself a series of questions. I want us to really evaluate, what did summer teach us? So what did summer teach you? So get your journal out, or, jot these questions down for later. What felt easier in your body the past 4 to 6 weeks? What felt easier in your body the past 4 to 6 weeks? What food, sleep, movement shifts made the biggest difference? I told you that story last time with the woman who's just going out and getting sunlight on her eyes. Made a big difference for her. What has made the biggest difference? What have you taken away? What didn't work? What felt too rigid? We've always got to come back to our own trust. I will always work with my mentors. I love working with my mentors, but I also will not let that override my own intuition. Now, sometimes we have to be careful. Again, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, intuition versus your paradigm, your emotional conditioning, what's familiar to you. People will mistake that and they'll say, oh, I'm not supposed to do this. Like my mentor, my guide, my coach, my doctor, whomever says I should do X, Y, Z, but I don't think that's right, or it's not logical to me, or there's a resistance. That's not necessarily your intuition, and likely isn't. It's your conditioning. It's your paradigm. It's your past habits. But when it's your true intuition, what didn't work, and you know in your body, what felt too rigid, then you adjust. You adjust and trust yourself. And then tying it all together, what do you want to keep? What do you want to release? What do you want to refine? These are really powerful questions for setting up this next quarter plus to end the year really solidly. Because look, you might think, okay, I'm in this weird in between, and then fall's going to happen. I'll be able to get back in rhythm. And then the next thing we know, it's Halloween and it's Thanksgiving and it's the holidays. And there's so many people fall off track in how they want to live and how they want to feel, and they get caught up in the stress cycle. So what do we really solidify now to prevent that? What are the tools that you've used in summer that will also serve you in the holiday season? So what do you want to keep? What do you want to release? Let it go. Bless it. Let it go. What do you want to refine? And this is an ongoing thing, by the way. Journaling these types of things, asking ourselves this question. Like, for example, I start most of my days, how can I serve better? Where's a need I'm not fulfilling, either with the people I'm already working with or people that I could be reaching that I'm not, that I could help. And so in doing that, that's a bigger version of me. The person who serves better is a bigger version of me. And I have to let go of old fears, old insecurities, and old versions of me to be able to serve in that way. So when we look at letting go is not giving up. I mean, if you're like, oh, I'm going to let go of exercise, yeah, that would be giving up. But in general, letting go is not giving up. So sometimes we resist letting go because it feels like we're quitting. And I have seen people hold on to relationships, jobs, volunteer work, etc., because they don't want to quit. But if it's not in alignment for you, it's actually not in alignment for anybody. I served on the board of my son's school for 6 years, and I was president for 5 of those years. I loved it. It was hard. You know, we had challenging times. We had really, really long meetings every Sunday. But there came a point when I didn't feel like I was showing up my best self anymore. But I was really resisting letting go. Oh, you know, the board, it needs all of us, because there were not many parents lining up to serve in that way, because it was fairly demanding. And you know, who wants to give up 6 hours on a Sunday for really long meetings, etc. So I was holding on. But then I thought about like the vacuum law of prosperity and the laws of the universe. And I thought, if I'm holding on and I'm not giving my 100%, I don't believe in doing anything. How we do one thing is how we do everything. So I don't want to do something half-assed. That's not in my nature. And I was starting to feel like I was fighting not fully being my best self anymore with them. And my daughter was at a point where she was like bawling every Sunday. Not every Sunday, it was only once a month, when I would go to the meetings, and I really had to let go. And at one point they were like, well, when you find someone to replace you, then you can let go. But that's not actually how it works. Sometimes usually we have to close the door on what's not good for us for the other doors to open. And that's true for the people we're serving. And so I knew vacuum law of prosperity, like nature abhors a vacuum. You clear out your clothes, you're going to have more clothes again before you know it. Like, how did I acquire, you know, whenever we Marie Kondo and clear out our house, I can't believe how quickly like new crap accumulates, right? That is the law of the universe. And so I knew when I stepped out, somebody else would be able to step in. It would draw that next person who was like super motivated and excited and was going to be great, as I had that energy for the first, several years. And so letting go creates space for something better, something higher to come in for all involved, and for deeper alignment. So even in a volunteer situation, this is true. So we're not quitting when we let go of something that doesn't serve us. If we're just doing it out of guilt, out of burden, that actually doesn't serve the other person. The whole energy around that is low. It's just low. And so I'm not saying be selfish, but it's like putting our own oxygen mask on first. When we stay in alignment with our higher good, because I still want to volunteer, I still want to serve. I knew if I stepped out at that point, I would be able to serve in a different way. I didn't have to be on the board to serve the school. And so, understand that what's in alignment with our highest good is actually in alignment for the highest good of all. So reframe this idea of quitting, and you can look at it like as creating space. You can reframe like some integration. It's a moment to distill what's working before just like charging forward. Let me just simplify. I love simplifying. Whenever I start to feel like I'm not enjoying what I'm doing, I look at where can I simplify? Where can I delegate? Where can I shift things? Then when we've let go, we're lighter, there's a buoyancy, we're creating space, and we can transition towards what's next. Because what's good for us does change, right? What do you need now that's different from what you needed 30 days ago? What do you want or need or are drawn to now that's different from where you were at 30 days ago? Consider energy, consider your schedule, nourishment, stress. I had a similar experience I used to have my private practice. I taught fitness classes and I did consultations out at Miamo Enchantment Resort. Loved it, loved the diversity, I just loved all the different aspects of my schedule. But it got to a point where after many, many years of doing this, I felt like I was just running from one place to the next, and I realized my work out in Enchantment in Miamo, I started justifying, well, it's great because I'm meeting people from all over the world and it's really interesting. But I was starting to dread it. And that's when I knew, like, oh, it's my Miamo day. Oh, I gotta, and so that's when I knew things had shifted. And so I shifted my schedule. And I thought, let me just really focus on my practice. I've loved this for years. It's been great. It's not in the highest good anymore. So look at these aspects of your life. And there's that gut hormone tie, that gut brain tie. So when your cortisol shifts, your blood sugar, your energy and cravings shift too. So what worked in July may not serve you in late August. So always looking at these seasonal shifts as well as internal shifts, family shifts. There's a lot of things that shift things. But if we can keep reevaluating and being intentional with our days, being intentional with every moment, then actually everything shifts in a positive way and we can keep adjusting and adjusting. Remember, the rocket failed its way to the moon. Off course, back on course, off course, back on course. Our coordinates may change, but we can keep adjusting. So the next version of you isn't built in July or September. It's in the in-between. For those of you who watch Stranger Things, I kind of wanted to say it's in the upside down. It's not in the upside down, but it may be in the in-between. It's like that pause in the box breathing where you just pause. The in-between can bring a lot of clarity, a lot of information. Your health journey doesn't need to be loud and powerful. In fact, when it is loud and powerful, that usually fizzles out. It's sort of like emotions. When we're really, really high, there's going to be a low. When we can stay a little more neutral and bring contentment and joy, but not these like crazy extremes, things will feel a little more balanced for us. So it's that persistence over time. When you reevaluate and you say, okay, I need to slow down right now. Slow down, don't stop. It's persistence over time that successful people have. They push through, they persist, they have consistency. When we're like, yeah, super loud and powerful, that could fizzle out. And then you're back to that all or nothing mentality. Remember, all or something, not all or nothing. So that's what I wanted to cover today. What to do if your summer motivation is fading or if your motivation is kicking in, but that might get sideswiped by the holidays soon after. How do we pause? How do we let go? How do we readjust? How do we recalibrate so that we stay in alignment? We stay sort of always moving towards the life we want to live, towards the relationships we want to have, towards the career, the income, the health, the body, etc., that you will feel really good in and that you'll thrive in. Because, as I've said many times, why I do this is because a rising tide lifts all shifts. I said shifts. I meant ships. Try not to swear. I'm like, what am I trying to say? A rising tide lifts all ships. And so every one of you that's like living your best life, feeling good about yourself, you make the world a better place. Because miserable people, they tend to judge and see all the worst in everything. And so if you feel really good and comfortable with yourself, you're going to allow other people to be themselves and for them to rise up. And so like this is a movement, y'all. It is a movement. And that's why I do what I do, because especially midlife women, but all of you out there, but especially midlife women, like, let's find our joy. Let's find our thrive. Let's hit that thrive and let's like help raise everybody else up in that journey and make the world a better place. So thank you all so much for joining me, and I will see you next week. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Up Level, Real Health, Real Talk. I hope today's conversation inspired you to take the next step in your health journey, one that nourishes not just your body, but your mind and spirit as well. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you found value in today's episode, please leave a review. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep thriving. And remember, true wellness is a journey, and you are on the right path.